Welcome back to the Professor's Lab. I'm Professor V, and this is some post-rotation Temporal Forces Standard Training that happened on March 9th, 2024. If you didn't know, Die Hard League happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, featuring casual and tournament play of whatever format anyone wants, really. More info in the description. Temporal Forces Prerelease Saturday, March 16th at 1 p.m. and League Challenge Thursday, March 21st at 6 p.m. All Central Time, all at Die Hard Games, and check out Pokemon's event locator for premier events at the shop, such as League Challenges, League Cups, and pre-releases. Please hit that like button right quick, subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications, say what you need to say in the comments, and all that other good free stuff. But anyways, let's research this game. On the left, we have the Great Tusk Mill deck, and on the right, the Lugia deck. We had some weirdo flashing going on there, but hopefully that didn't bug everybody too much. Let's see who's going first. Lugia is going first. A double turbo energy is attached to the active Lugia V. And I'm not sure any other Pokemon want to be benched in this kind of matchup. Yeah, things are passed over to our Great Tusk Mill player as they start things off with a nest ball, searching their deck for a basic Pokemon to add to the bench. Now, the idea of this Great Tusk Mill deck, of course, is to mill all their opponent's cards out of their deck so that way the opponent cannot draw a card at the beginning of their turn, therefore losing the game. The Great Tusk has the Earth Blast attack for 2 colorless energy. Discard 1 card from the top of your opponent's deck. If you played an Ancient Supporter from your hand this turn, discard 3 more cards. So the idea is play an Ancient Supporter every turn, then Earth Blast, discarding 4 cards from the top of the opponent's deck every single turn, eventually running them all out of cards, also causing some disruption to your opponent's board. For example, gusting up a support Pokemon or a Pokemon with no energy, not a good attacker, that has a high retreat cost, get them stuck in the active while you're milling cards every turn. That's why the Lugia player chose not to bench any other Pokemon in this matchup to kind of play around that. But we'll see what happens here in this game. Just wanted to give you guys a general overview as a Trekking Shoes is played. That card lets you draw a card, and then you can either keep that card that you drew or discard it and draw 1 more card. Another Trekking Shoes is played, drawing a card, and we're deciding if we're going to keep it or not. Going to keep that card as well. Next, Earthen Vessel is played, discarding a Fighting Energy to search the deck for a Psychic Energy and another Fighting Energy. Fighting Energy, of course, is good to have in the discard pile to be accelerated by that Professor Sada's Vitality, an Ancient Supporter. We'll get into what that one does as it becomes relevant. So far, so good here for our Great Tusk first turn. We'd like to see a double turbo energy and a Ancient Supporter be played still. There's our Ancient Supporter. Explorer's Guidance. I think you look at the top 6 cards. Let's see, look at top 6 cards of your deck, put 2 of them into your hand, and discard the remaining cards. This is an Ancient Supporter, of course, so that will help fuel Great Tusk's Earth Blast attack. Now just deciding what 2 cards to keep off of that Explorer's Guidance. There will be 4 cards hitting the discard pile here, but as you can see, there's a Super Rod. There's recovery cards as well, I'm sure, in this deck. Radiant Greninja is put onto the bench. Good support Pokemon there. I don't think it's an attacker here. And then we see our first Ace Spec to hit the board. It's that, let's see, the Hero's Cape, basically plus 100 HP. So that Great Tusk on the bench has 240 HP, as it gets a fighting energy attached to it. Radiant Greninja uses concealed cards to discard a card and draw 2 more cards. And I think it's just a pass. We weren't able to play a Professor Sada's Vitality nor find a double turbo energy, so no attack from the Great Tusk this turn. As things are passed over to the Lugia player, looks like they have that Lugia V-Star in hand already. And it evolves. Again, I don't think we're in a big rush to get the double Archeops out in this matchup. If we could just continue to attack with the Lugia V-Star, nothing on the bench could get gusted up and stalled in the active spot, and we'll eventually take our 6 prizes. But can we do that before all of our cards are milled? Is the question as this Capturing Aroma is played. Flip a coin, it's heads, so an evolution Pokemon can be found. And you know what evolution Pokemon gets found? Archeops. Next, an Ultra Ball is played, discarding that Archeops. And something else from the hand, a Jet Energy. In hindsight, maybe not so good to discard that Jet Energy here, as you're going against a mill deck that would love to get rid of all your energies and other cards. Either way, we've got the double Archeops in the discard pile, turn 2. Gift Energy also attached to the active Lugia V-Star, and Professor's Research gets rid of all the cards in the hand and allows that player to draw 7 fresh new cards. Most importantly, getting the double Archeops in the discard pile. Potentially this turn was played a little bit too aggressively, discarding lots of cards, drawing lots of cards. Maybe the tunnel vision of getting the double Archeops in the discard pile as soon as possible kicked in. But we'll see if it matters in the end. Our players taking a look through their hands, seeing what options there are. The Lugia V-Star has the V-Star power ability Summoning Star, where you can bring both of those Archeops that are in the discard pile onto the bench, and then they can use their Primal Turbo ability to start accelerating special energy from the deck to the board in any way you like, or almost in any way you like, let's say. But again, I think their Lugia player just does not want to put more Pokemon out than needed, so that way nothing can get Gus stalled, either boss stalled or counter catcher stalled in the active spot. Debating on playing a Capturing Aroma and a Nest Ball here. I don't think those should be played. There was an energy attached per turn. That's kind of important what energies are on Lugia. The double turbo energy minuses 20 from Lugia's attack. Its attack does 220 damage. So right now the Lugia, when it's powered up, can swing for 200. That's a pretty good number to be swinging for against the Great Tusk deck, because Great Tusk plays the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule tool that gives the Great Tusk plus 60 HP, bringing it up to 200 HP. So Lugia will swing for 200. We'll take the KO. So it looks like our Lugia player is just going to attach and chill basically this turn. Get the Archeops in the discard pile, attach it a Gift Energy, and chill, and start swinging next turn. As a Bravery Charm is put onto the active Great Tusk, okay, that gives plus 50 HP. So right now it's at 190, the active Great Tusk. That new emergency board is put on to the bench Radiant Greninja. Emergency board says the retreat cost of this Pokemon, of the Pokemon this card is attached to, is a colorless less. If the Pokemon this card is attached to has 30 HP or less remaining, it has no retreat cost. Pretty cool card we have in the format coming up. Radiant Greninja discards an energy, draws 2 cards. Let's see if our Great Tusk Mill deck can start attacking this turn. Next is Pokegear 3.0. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Add a supporter you find there to your hand, and then shuffle the rest of the cards back into the deck. That Explorer's Guidance is found. So that's good. We have the Ancient Supporter now in hand for turn, at least one in hand for turn. Now can we find either a double turbo energy or a basic energy in a way to get the bench to Great Tusk into the active spot. As another Pokegear 3.0 is played, looking at the top 7, finding that Professor Sada's Vitality. Okay. So now Sada's Vitality can accelerate some energy from the discard pile if the player wants to go that route, and they do. Professor Sada's accelerate a basic energy from the discard pile to 2 of your ancient Pokemon in play, and then draw 3 cards. So now we just need a basic energy. Another Great Tusk is found and put onto the board. We've got the double turbo energy that works onto the active Great Tusk. And now Earth Blast, discarding the top 4 cards of the opponent's deck. Energy hurts, double energy does hurt. The Lugia deck does play a lot of energy, but you definitely have to be mindful and wise with it in this matchup, as a Jet Energy is attached to the active Lugia V-Star. There is the KO on the opposing Great Tusk, as it has 190 HP. Lugia V-Star swinging for 200. Our players are, during these training games, they're very, very casual. These games are meant for learning. So you'll see our players kind of pausing, talking things through, talking about different options, talking about the decks, talking about what cards do. This is definitely a big, fun learning experience. So thank you for your patience with that as we make it through these training videos. I promise neither player's trying to stall. There's no time limit. We're just training in the hyperbolic time chamber as Lugia V-Star takes the KO on the opposing Great Tusk. Great Tusk with the Hero's Cape comes into the active. Ancient Booster Energy put onto the bench. Great Tusk. Alright, as you could see, the a Iron Crown's EX was just revealed there. Our Lugia player got a couple cards mixed up from another deck into this Lugia deck. Our players will do their best to correct it. Again, not anything malicious, just an honest mistake there, especially in the training games. Our players were chilling and, just fixed things up as best they could. As a Professor Sada's Vitality is played over on Great Tusk's side, accelerating an energy to the bench Great Tusk, and then drawing 3 cards. So we are milling for 4 this turn. I'm not sure anything else needs to be established this turn on the Great Tusk side. So just a Earth Blast. Nope, our Great Tusk player is actually still taking their turn, while our Lugia player is figuring out which cards from their Iron Hands deck accidentally made their way into the Lugia deck. So don't mind all that. As our Great Tusk player is taking a look through their discard pile, assessing the resources there, trying to better inform their next move. And let's see what else they have in store for us here. Pow Pad. That makes sense while they were checking out the supporters. Shuffling back into the deck a couple Professor Sada's Vitality from the discard pile is the power of that Pow Pad. This active Great Tusk has 240 HP, thanks to that A-Spec Hero's Cape. I don't think this build of Lugia plays any Lost Vacuum or Tool removal, so a Nest Ball is played next over on Great Tusk's side. To establish the Mimikyu. Now that's pretty scary for the Lugia V-Star, as Mimikyu has, I think it's the Safeguard ability. Let's check that out here. Safeguard, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon from your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V. So Pokemon EX and Pokemon V cannot touch Mimikyu with Safeguard. Looks like our Great Tusk player here is checking a couple things. Some translations of cards. And yeah, just gonna use the Earth Blast, discarding 4 cards. Not the worst 4 cards to get discarded, mostly just the energy is what we gotta watch out for. And play resumes over on Lugia's side. Now that the Mimikyu is put down on the bench, the Lugia player has to be aware of that. A Mimikyu in the active can easily be answered by bringing Archeops into play, accelerating energy to it, and then attacking with the Archeops, as that's not a Pokemon V or Pokemon EX. But then it does force more Pokemon out onto the field, so just something to keep in mind here as Boss's Orders is debating on being played. Yeah, because since the active Great Tusk cannot get knocked out, maybe we go the route of Boss's Orders to continue to take knockouts. We'll see what our players decide to do here. Big hand the Lugia V-Star player has currently. Boss's Orders being debated on. And bossing up that bench Great Tusk with 200 HP, so that way Lugia V-Star can take the KO on it. The heroic Great Tusk moves back into the active spot, and play resumes over on its side. Super Rod is played now to shuffle back into the deck 3 Great Tusks from the discard pile. They're back. So now the race is on. Can Lugia V-Star take all the prizes before all of the cards in its deck are milled? 2 prizes taken currently by the Lugia V-Star. And an Explorer's Guidance is played over on Great Tusk's side, looking at the top 6, remember, keeping 2 and discarding the rest. Gonna keep the Great Tusk and the double turbo energy and get rid of everything else. That's what you need, right? A Pokemon and energy to power it up being put onto the bench there. The Ancient Supporter was played per turn, so the active Great Tusk will mill 4 cards with its Earth Blast attack. Let's see if there's anything else the Great Tusk player needs to do this turn. It looks like an Earth Blast, discarding the top 4. Ooh, they got an energy. The other cards, again, not really that important here. 3 Archeops in the discard pile currently. Definitely need to check out the energy count as well eventually as play resumes over on Lugia V-Star's side. Another Boss's Orders would be cool to play this turn. I think there are 2 in deck, and there might be 2 in the discard. Maybe there was 1 milled earlier, I can't remember. There's also 2 Serena in this deck list, but Serena can only gust up a Pokemon V. No Pokemon V currently on Great Tusk's side of the field. And looks like we might just have to be content with two-shotting this active Great Tusk. So Lugia swings for 200 damage, 40 HP left on the active Great Tusk as its turn starts. Another Great Tusk hits the bench, and Explorer's Guidance is played again. Let's look at the top 6, keep 2 of them, discard the rest. Ancient Supporter is played, so Great Tusk will mill 4 cards this turn. Professor Sada's and Energy kept. Double Turbo Energy. That's all we need to keep the train running here. Double Turbo hits the bench, the other bench Great Tusk. And is there anything else that needs done before the Earth Blast? Looks like we're eyeing up a Pal Pad here to shuffle back in a couple more Ancient Supporters to the deck from the discard pile. Definitely have to keep those streaming, as that is the power of the Great Tusk deck. Milling 4 cards is definitely better than milling 1, right? The Lugia V-Star deck still looks pretty healthy. Great Tusk decks actually is a lot lower currently. But the Great Tusk deck does play the Pidgeot V. So the Great Tusk deck will not deck out, thanks to Pidgeot V's Vanishing Wings ability. And Earth Power, milling 4 more cards. Don't really care about those other than the energy, of course. If anyone's seen my Master Ball Ace spec, just let me know. As play resumes over on Lugia V-Star's side. Lugia V-Star simply attacks, cleaning up the KO on the opposing heroic Great Tusk. Another Great Tusk takes its place in the active spot, and play resumes over on its side. There's the hand right now, as big as the deck. So definitely the new hair trimmer or whatever that new item card is. So I think your opponent has to discard from their hand until they have 5 cards remaining. That card would be very good in the Great Tusk deck, I think, as long as there's space for it. I have not looked too much into Great Tusk myself. That's why I'm here in the Professor's Lab learning about it today. As a Professor Sada's Vitality is played to accelerate a energy from the discard to the Great Tusk on the bench, and then draw 3 cards. So there's our Ancient Supporter for turn. Earthen Vessel is played next, discarding an Earthen Vessel to search the deck for 2 basic lightning energy. Gonna fail that search, actually. Most likely just thinning out the deck and the hand here. And there we go, Earth Power, milling 3 energy that time. Ouch. Yeah, it's going to come down to, near the end, can that Safeguard Mimikyu be knocked out? The plan is to bring an Archeops in play, accelerate energy to it, but if there's no energy in deck, none can be accelerated from the deck, of course. I wonder if... Nope, just going to go ahead and take the KO on the active Great Tusk with the Lugia against the world here. Great Tusk takes its place in the active. Play resumes on its side. Pidgeot V hits the bench. It uses its Vanishing Wings ability. It can only use Vanishing Wings if it's on the bench, and when it does, you shuffle the Pidgeot V and all cards attached to it back into the deck. That's how we never deck out as the Great Tusk player. Next is Professor Sada's Vitality to accelerate a Psychic Energy to the active Great Tusk and draw 3 cards. Great Tusk put onto the bench. Nest Ball being played now to search the deck for a basic Pokemon. That search will be failed. I wonder if there was another Fighting Energy in deck, or in the discard, that could have been accelerated, and then that Great Tusk could start attacking. It has a attack that does 160 damage, put some pressure on the opposing Lugia V-Star, maybe force that opponent or force that player to bench more Pokemon, play the game more, but instead just going to Earth Blast, milling 4 more cards, and energy was hit there, and play resumes over on Lugia's side. The KO is possible here. 2 prizes left for Lugia, so I imagine the Safeguard Mimikyu comes up next after this KO. I don't think there's anything that needs to be played right now by the Lugia player. They do attach an energy to the active Lugia. I wonder why that was done. Maybe if the Lugia has to retreat when the Archeops comes out, it's just 1 attachment away from being able to attack again. Either way, Lugia V-Star will take the KO on the opposing Great Tusk, leaving them with 1 prize left. I'm pretty sure there's more than 4 cards in the Lugia V-Star player's deck. Yep, there definitely is more than 4. So, Safeguard Mimikyu comes into the active spot, and play resumes over on its side. Next is Eerie. Okay, that supporter has you look at your opponent's hand, and then you can discard 2 item cards that you find there, I think is how Eerie works. Yep, look at your opponent's hand, discard up to 2 item cards you find there. So not only is it some disruption for your opponent, this supporter, but you also gain hand knowledge. Knowledge is power, right? Couple of items, I think it's a Great Ball and a Capturing Aroma discarded there. I don't think our Lugia player cares too much about that. And are things passed back over? Yep, so things are back over to our Lugia V-Star player here. They are using Summoning Star in order to bring back from the discard pile onto the bench 2 Archeops. They each have the Primal Turbo ability. That ability lets you search your deck for 2 special energy and attach them to one of your Pokemon. So now we just need 3 energy in the deck in order to win. So Nest Ball will be played here just to take a look at what's in the deck. There is an energy in deck. So now in hand, we need Iono and 2 energy. Alright, there's a Lumineon. Alright, let me back up a little bit here so I can make sure we get everything right. Yeah, it looks like the Lumineon's in hand. Okay. And there is an Iono in deck too, so I think the Lugia player has it here. Lumineon from hand uses Luminous Sign to search the deck for a supporter. The supporter, of course, is Iono. Ultra Ball is played there. I think our Lugia player thought that the Lumineon was in deck, so they were just showing, okay, I didn't Nest Ball for the Lumineon, I Ultra Ball for the Lumineon to find the Iono. The Iono is played, both players shuffle their hands, put them at the bottom of their deck, and then draw cards equal to their remaining prize cards. Our player did forget to draw a card here, but that wouldn't have changed anything, as next 2 Primal Turbos are used to accelerate 3 special energy from the deck onto an Archeops. Lugia V-Star retreats to the bench. Archeops comes into the active spot and takes the KO on the opposing Mimikyu for the game. Oh, what do you guys think of this video and the commentary? Please let me know in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Professor's Lab.